Hello everyone. Welcome back to Bookishly Yours and welcome to today's live stream. And this is going to be the last live stream for the week because for the next week, I'm planning to do some long form content and we'll be doing some book hauls and book recommendation and everything. So I thought the next time I would come on live, that would be the next weekend. So that's something that I have planned. I'm not sure if it's even going to work, but yeah, that's something that I have planned. So this is going to be our last live stream for the week. And for today, we are also going to do another book review as usual. And this is the last book that I have taken from my book haul. This is Shopaholic Ties the Knot by Sophie Kinsella. And I love this very much. I love the Shopaholic series as a whole, and this is the first book of the series. So this is part of a series, but you could read it as a standalone as well. I didn't find a lot of disconnection when I was reading it. So just a quick reminder out there that this is a series. This is the first of the series, that is Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. This has also been made into a movie, and this is the actress who plays the character of Rebecca or Becky Bloomwood. So I bought this book from an exhibition because I really love the movie and I really love the book as well. It's very funny. It's a rom-com, but it's more comedy comic than romantic, I feel. That's my personal opinion. So anyway, like I said, this is a book and there's a movie adaptation as well. So that really made me wonder, why don't I talk a bit about book and movie adaptation? uh, we all see this trend where a lot of books have been adapted into books and web series and everything, and this has let's say this has been made into a trend almost, where now we see a lot of adaptations out there and versus maybe original script, let's say. So that really brings into question as to what we do prefer. There are a lot of people out there who prefer movie adaptations or series adaptation as opposed to reading the actual book, and there are a lot of people out there who actually prefer reading the book versus watching something. And my personal opinion is that I prefer books more than movie adaptation, and the reason is that I like to read a lot, and since there's a lot of editing that goes on into these movies and series, we lose a lot of subplot, and a lot of characters that are there in the book, we don't really see them in the adaptation as much. So that's why I prefer books a lot. I don't mind a detailed narrative, so I'm someone who prefer books a lot as opposed to adaptation. But then again, like I said, there are a lot of people out there who have varied opinions out there, and the question or the debate as to which is better, book or movie adaptation, it's not really an answer that might come in, let's say, a word. We can't say something is better than the other because it's a very subjective topic. And I think it really, well, it depends on whether you're more of a reader or a viewer. So I guess if you're a reader, then you might prefer books. You might prefer reading books more. But if you're more of a viewer, if you like that visual aspect, you might be preferring movies more, or the series, the adaptation of those books better. So yeah, that's very subjective. It's a very subjective topic, and that's what we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss uh, why certain people prefer books and why certain other people prefer adaptations more. So we're going to start with books. I guess, like I said, the main reason why people might prefer books a lot as opposed to its adaptation is probably because of the depth. Because if we read a book, it might be a lot, like the Harry Potter series, let's take for example, The Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia. All of these books, series, have their own adaptations made into different movies, made into different series. And as fascinating as that is, there are a lot of people who prefer reading it rather than viewing it. So the main reason could be that the amount of depth that these books comes along with, because like I said, there's a lot of narrative that goes on. It's not just one main plot or one group of characters. There are a lot of subplot, lot of plot twists, and lot of minor characters as well. So like I said, that amount of depth is something that a lot of readers prefer. And there are a lot of people who prefer the complex world building as well. For example, Harry Potter. We all know what Hogwarts looks like. We all know what the wizarding world looks like. It doesn't exist in real life, but we can imagine what it looks like. And it's a very complex, it's a very complicated world building. And to create all these places, to create all these people, and to name them individually, to give a personality to them, to give a certain trait to them, and it's very complicated, and as complex as it is, a lot of people appreciate it. And that is something that we have to appreciate as a reader, because also when it comes to characters, each of them have a different personality, each of them have a different backstory, background, and the way they think is also different. So we see a lot of those diversity in books, because when it comes to movies, editing is the main problem. I won't say problem, but well, it is understandable. Movies, the maximum time limit they have is 3 hours, right? 3 hours maximum. Most of the movies that we see are probably around 2 hours, and even in the web series it might be maybe 10 episodes per season or something. So the time constraint is very much evident in movies, and evidently so. So when it comes to movies, they cut a lot. There's a lot of editing that happens, and we may not see all the subplot and all the characters in the movie as it has been described in the books. So for those of you who are in the chat with me, hi, and just let me know which you prefer. Do you like reading books, or do you like watching the movies? Adaptation of those books. And if you are a new viewer, definitely subscribe to my channel, because we are discussing everything that is related to books, book recommendations, and book reviews. And we are going to review this one at the end, okay? As soon as we complete our discussion of it. So when it comes to books, like I said, depth, details, and also, there is no budget, there is no time constraint. We have full clarity and control over our imagination. And for those of you who are preferring books over movie adaptation, I am with you. I am also someone who likes books, or who someone who prefer books more than adaptation. I do enjoy the movies and web series and everything, and you have to give credit to all those effort to create Hogwarts, to create the wizarding world, to create Narnia. All of these props, the effort that everything has gone into, you have to take credit for it. But as a reader, I am more of a reader, so that's why I prefer books more. So, yes, that is mainly, I think, the reason why a lot of people out there prefer books. Now, let's come to those who prefer movies, and why, a lot of people uh, think movies are better. These people are more of a viewer, because they understand or appreciate the visual aspect more. And for them, like I said, they have the imagination, and we are able to imagine whatever we read, but to see it in front of us, exactly how we read, or maybe something different, but still to see that world, to see that fantasy, it's something really special, because we can really relate to it in any sort of movie. Well, for example, one example that comes to mind is Harry Potter. And to see that Hogwarts school, to see that train, that 3 by 4 platform, everything, it's really amazing, because whatever we have imagined, to see that in real life, to see that in reality, that's very amazing. So that visual aspect or visual impact that movies and series can, create, that is something that viewers appreciate a lot. Also, when it comes to Game of Thrones, and we see those dragons in real life, maybe probably similar to what we imagine when we read the books. So that visual impact is something that is very thrilling, and it's also time saving because let me give you an example. You are traveling, you are taking a trip in a flight or a train, you only have a short time, so you're getting bored, and let's say you don't have a book at hand, or if even if you do, you may get motion sickness if you read in the car. But you're really bored, you really want some entertainment, you obviously go for the movie. You might even take the movie adaptation or web series related to the book, so that you get an idea about what the book is about. And if the entertainment or the adaptation thrills you, then you can read the book in your own time, right? So time saving is something that is related to adaptation, because even if you have few hours, you would really invest it in the movie. You would really invest in watching it rather than reading it. So like I said, as much as movie adaptations are controlled by time constraint and budget, and editing has to happen because the maximum time limit would be 3 hours. You have to cram all those details in those few hours, but still manage to get the entire idea out there to the viewer. It takes a lot of effort, like I said previously, but also a lot of editing might happen. You may have to cut down a lot of subplot, you may have to constrain it to the main plot and the main group of characters. So, but still, the time in which it takes to produce that movie, you still get an idea, you still get the clarity of what is happening in that book, what is the main plot, who are the main characters, what they are doing, what's the goal. You still get that idea. So that's why a lot of people may prefer movie adaptations. If you're having, let's say, a sleepover or something, if you're having a close hangout with some friends indoors, you prefer a movie adaptation rather than reading book. And another thing, I think the most important thing is the acting and soundtrack when it comes to adaptations. Just imagine your favorite actors being or role playing as your favorite characters. That itself is thrilling, right? And also the soundtrack, certain BGMs, and also certain musicals that happens in these adaptations. That is also thrilling because nowadays I think I watched the Harry Potter movies first, and then I started reading the Harry Potter book. So after that, whenever I read the Harry Potter series, I immediately imagine Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter or Emma Watson as Hermione Granger. I didn't really imagine that earlier when I was reading the book, but now whenever I come across a Harry Potter, let's say fan fiction or something, these actors are who comes to mind when I think about the characters. And that is also thrilling. It's because when we hear that our favorite book is turning into an adaptation, we immediately go into this rant of who should play which character, which all actors should come up and, you know, play our favorite characters, because that part is thrilling. And let's say also the soundtrack. A lot of movies have this amazing, beautiful background music, something that is very melodic, or maybe something that is very thrilling, and that is also an earworm. And also, a lot of movies come in the form of musicals, where there are short music videos in between the plot. And most often times, it also happens that we prefer the music or the songs more than the movie. That is also a factor, that sometimes the songs get more of a hit than, let's say, the movie itself. We remember those songs. But again, that is a key factor when it comes to movies. They are able to provide that visual treat and that auditory treat as well, something that we have to admit books won't be able to do. We can use our imagination, books help us increase or improve our imagination, but most often if we are able to associate a certain music or if we are able to associate certain actors to the characters that we read, it's more of a bonus. And that is what movies provide. So, like I said, the last point would have to be a sense of shared experience. There are a lot of buddy reading going on and book club reads as well that are being promoted and should be promoted. And there are also these kind of binge watching sessions. I think that's also a trend nowadays, especially ever since web series became a trend. Binge watching is something that we all do that has become so casual, and we end up binge watching a lot of series out there that are also movie adaptations. So it, whether it is book or movies, I feel like it creates this shared experience. And let's say a lot of books or a lot of examples are out there. Let's take this for example, the book that we are going to review, Confessions of a Shopaholic. This has been turned into a movie, which I have to say a lot of subplots have been cut, but the characters are one and the same. A lot of characters appear, it's the same characters, and a bit of a subplot here and there, and dialogues here and there have been edited out. But I would say this is a very good adaptation of this book. And if you are someone who haven't read this book, then definitely check it out. And if you're a reader, then definitely read this. If you're a viewer, then do consider at least watching the movie, because I think you might love this, especially if you're someone who loves rom-com, if especially you're someone who appreciate a good comedy. So, with that said, I think, like, if we come back to our debate of which is better, books or movie adaptation, I think if you're someone who really likes a lot of depth, if you're someone who loves a detailed narrative, then I think books would be something that those category of people would prefer more. But if you're someone who loves to see the visuals, if you're someone who loves soundtracks and everything, I think you might be more of a viewer and you might prefer movie adaptations more. And I guess there are also people out there who are fans of both format, who loves to read books and watch the movie adaptation. I do associate with that category. I read a lot of books, but I do love to see the adaptations just to see how much editing has been going on, just to see how much they have really captured the book. And I guess that the advice for them, not an advice but my opinion would be to read the book first and then watch the movie adaptation and then compare. If you want to compare, we can see how much editing has been going on, how much of the plot has actually been taken into consideration, and who all are the characters who appear. So that is our discussion about movie adaptation and books. So with that, we come to our book review session, where today we are going to review this book. And this is Shopaholic Ties a Knot by Sophie Kinsella. And like I said, this is a series. This is a third book of the series, the Shopaholic series. First is this Confessions of a Shopaholic. This is the third, but you can read it as a standalone as well. I did not feel a lot of dissociation when reading it. And this was published in 2001. Okay. So, like I said, this is a romance, a rom com, but there's a lot of comedy more than romance going on in this book. So, hi to everyone who is coming up in the chat and saying hi. Do like this video. Don't forget to do so. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you are a reader, if you like to talk about books. And with that, we are going to go to our review. So, Confessions of a Shopaholic, or the Shopaholic series, it revolves around this main character called Rebecca or Becky Bloomwood. And this is the character, okay. And like I said, just like you can see in the picture, uh, she has a serious shopping addiction. She is addicted to shopping, and she is having a lot of trouble managing her money and her time. And it really revolves around all those sort of, let's say, all those trouble that she gets into. So, so for everyone who is joining the chat, do stay with me for the review because we are going to go into the summary of the book. So here, Rebecca Bloomwood is going to get married to her boyfriend, Luke Brandon, and that's the next step. And for her, there's a trouble because they are decided to get married. Both parents are arranging the wedding at separate places. So Luke's mother is arranging the wedding in, I think, America, and Rebecca or Becky's parents are arranging the wedding at England. Okay, so there are two weddings going on, and Rebecca hasn't said anything about to anyone about the marriage. She doesn't know whether she wants to get married in America or New York, so she didn't finalize it. So both sides have started their wedding in two different countries, and it's all a confusion because she doesn't want to say anything to her parents because the wedding at New York, America, is very high end, and she really wants her maybe fantasy related wedding to happen there. The theme is Sleeping Beauty. But at home, it's a countryside. At home, her parents are having, something of a more intimate wedding, and she doesn't have the heart to disappoint them either. So she ends up not talking to anyone about her decision whether she wants to get married in England or America. And at the last minute, till the last minute, wedding preparations are going on in both countries, and she is in big trouble because she hasn't said anything to anyone and both sides are preparing. She doesn't know where she should end up. So that is basically what the plot is. And we are going to see whether Becky is going to find the courage in herself, to make a decision and to convey it, because either way, a lot of family expectation is going to get, let's say, hurt. So that is something that the question mark of the book is. And something I really liked about this book is the protagonist herself, Rebecca. She's very chaotic. She's very much chaotic. And but no, she's funny, and she is more relatable, especially the daydreaming that she has, the interior monologue that she has. It is very, very relatable. So that's one of the reasons why the readers are going to love this character. And it's very fast paced and entertaining, and like I said, the key plot is the wedding shenanigans, where two wedding is happening for the same bride and groom in two countries, and no one gets to know about the other wedding until the last minute. So whether she's going to confess or whether she is going to find some solution where she can attend both as the bride, that is the question mark, and that is something that we are going to find out. And that is very much, let's say, suspenseful because we don't get to know about the solution until the last minute. So I really like that. And another factor is that even though this is such a very comic plot, there are themes worth discussing in the book itself. That is, the first one is the family expectation, like I said, and also about finding your identity and sticking to it. When we make a decision, we know that that decision might end up hurting a lot of people, including our family and friends. But if it is right for us, whether we should stick with it or go with family expectation, that is something that this book discusses. And like I said, communication, the importance of communication. Had she communicated clearly with the right people at the right time, maybe this shenanigan wouldn't have happened. But it is what it is. So miscommunication is something that has really caused all this trouble. So we do get to understand about the importance of communication, which appears as a theme in this book as well. And for recommendation, I think this is a rom-com that I think all romance fans out there would love. And like I said, it's more of a comic element more going on rather than the romance, but it's something different because most of the time we see romance more and very little comedy, but here it's the exact opposite that is going on. More of a comedy rather than uh, more of a romance. But this is something that you will enjoy as a light read. If you're looking for a cozy read, if you're looking for a light read, then this book is something that I would recommend to you. And it's very funny. It's a light fiction. It's very quirky. We have a lot of quirky characters, especially the heroines, and that's also talk about fashion and the love for shopping and everything in between. So I really think you will love this book, especially if you're looking for a funny read. So with that, we are going to wind up our live stream. We have talked about books and movie adaptation, and which is, I won't say which is better because it's really subjective, and we can never say one is better than the other. But we have discussed why a lot of people prefer books and a lot of other people prefer movie adaptation. And we have also discussed our review for the day, that is Shopaholic Ties the Knot, which belongs to the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella. And I really hope you will get to read this one. And if you do get to read this one, let me know what you think about the book. And I will be back soon with another book haul and reviews. And if you are someone who is viewing this video for the first time, if you're a new viewer, do consider subscribing our channel and liking this video for more book hauls, book recs and reviews. And I will see you next time. Till then, bye.